Made my life harder by bringing loads of stuff with me. Right, it will make sense later, I promise. So, this is about the layers of life so far. My handy clicker over there, thank you. So, this has started well. I'm Max. I don't have two arms, but I don't just have one. I'm shy, but I'm confident. I'm brave, but I'm also terrified, as you can probably tell. I can be intrepid, but I get anxious. I'm easygoing and I'm uptight. I can be optimistic, but and realistic. I'm all of these things all of the time because I'm human and I don't fit into a box. And it's a combination of these ever-evolving characteristics and my upper limb difference that have been the reason for many of my life experiences so far. And it's these layers of learning and living that have brought me here to this moment, which is terrifying, just to say. Being born with and living with a physical, visible disability feels like a mash of contradictions. When people say that I'm inspiring or brave or confident, I feel like an imposter. When I'm proud of myself for leaving the house without a cardigan on, they might not even notice the significance. You can see where this is going. Growing up, I just wanted to blend in. I cruised through the middle of school, never at the bottom of the class, but never at the top. During PE, I would run really well, but when it came to sports day, my nerves would get the best of me. I was learning to play the cello backwards with a really cool adaptation for that held my bow, but when it came to the summer concert, I refused. I never wanted to stand out. Looking back, I could blame my head teacher for bringing me up in primary school to show the whole school my prosthetic, but I was shy long before then. Two things have stuck with me for as long as I remember. People asking if my arm hurt, and mostly children describing it as a baby arm. These ideas clung to me as a reminder of how different my arm must look to others. One day at school, my teacher played back a video of the Christmas play. Whilst everyone watched and laughed, I suddenly became really aware of my arm. I felt really embarrassed and seeing perhaps the first time how others might see me. I had never thought about how I might look different in my movements or my actions. Then, at a friend's party at around 15, someone put on the film Scary Movie 2. In the film, there's a character called Hanson. He's a caretaker and he has a form of upper limb difference. He calls it his strong hand. The film constantly mocks the use of his hand, and in preparing food, in serving, and the other characters are clearly disgusted by this. As my friends sat there laughing, I felt so embarrassed and I just wanted to run away. And I didn't understand those feelings that I was experiencing. It's only now that I'm realizing that for me, it was those moments, some moments, seemingly innocuous moments, that cemented negative feelings for me. And it will be different for everyone. Excuse me. I'd forgotten all about that movie. I think I blocked it out, but I can see now that that was a source of years of discomfort. It was when the film The Witches came out that once again we saw a villain being portrayed with an upper limb difference, and I suddenly recalled those feelings that had stayed with me. And it really angered me that this film could be doing exactly the same to a Reach child today. Because over the years I hadn't just hidden my arm, I had actually particularly avoided using it to do things, to cook in front of people, to prepare food. And it took me back to watching that film. At sixth form, despite being surrounded by friends, I still really worried about how my arm looked. I went to go actually see a surgeon because I thought that if maybe I had my arm amputated, it would be easier for other people to accept. But rightly so, they hammered home that I would lose function. I would lose 18 years of using my hand. And I agreed that that was not what I wanted. So I kind of put those ideas to the side, and I think it was a comfort to know that at least I had that option. I continued into uni, and I studied journalism. Everyone else seemed really confident and sure of themselves, but I really struggled with anxiety in my first year. I remember just wanting to blend in, and I got so nervous going into lectures. I had to sit on the end of the aisle in case my stomach rumbled, and I needed to escape. I went to go see a doctor, and they gave me some beta blockers just for about 6 months to control those panic attacks, and it made me see that it was just all in my head, and I could control it. As I entered year 2, though, I was enjoying uni more. I was meeting more friends. My anxiety was lessening. I met Tom. And my confidence was growing. But I still hid my arm. I discovered the sock. I moved on from simply boiling in my jumper or carrying my cardigan with me to wearing a sock or a buff. At the time, I thought this was a revelation. I thought, why haven't I done this before? I have freedom that I never had. It was certainly a step in the right direction, but it was particularly helpful during our travels. I know you know what that is, but I thought I would just demonstrate it. In 2014, after a couple of years of working, we went and traveled in North America to have a road trip, and then we backpacked through South and Central America. During this time, we hiked to Machu Picchu, we visited the Amazon jungle, we did our scuba diving qualifications in Utila, and there were lots of animals. Next slide, Tom. We then headed for Australia for a year, and then New Zealand and Asia, including Nepal, where we went to Everest Base Camp. But despite loving all of the travels, I continued to hide my arm, and my confidence wavered in Asia in particular. Because in Laos and Cambodia, for example, it was clear that locals don't really see many people, or Westerners with disabilities. I had a newfound appreciation for the politeness of the British. 2.5 years and 19 countries and a marriage proposal later, we returned to the UK. But our adventures were not over. And Ellie will understand this. We started talking about the most ridiculous hike called the Appalachian Trail in the United States. Talking moved quickly to planning. Tom? Thank you. Only a wife, sir. Quickly to planning, and in April 2017, we flew to Georgia and started walking 2,189 miles. We carried everything we needed on our backs, this is the bag, and hiked 20 miles a day, 6 days a week, through 14 states of America, making it to the sign, Katahdin, exactly 5 months after we begun. But what has this got to do with anything? Well, it has everything to do with it, because I had no reason not to hide. Traveling helped me grow my confidence in so many ways, but I still felt alone in my disability. Not that I knew it at the time. I didn't know anyone else with a limb difference, so I continued to just want to blend in. It baffles me to look back at photos of the AT when in the middle of the wilderness, I was still covering my arm, just in case we bumped into anyone. But these were all the levels of growth. Tom? Thank you. And again. Thank you. These were all levels of growth and self-confidence and experiences that I needed to get me to the next layer of life. Rediscovering reach. Guys. As a family, we had been members of Reach when I was a child, but I was very shy. So I wanted to rejoin, thinking that I could give back somehow or fundraise. And seeing how many people and how many members were involved and the communities that are being cultivated, and learning how many children were being born every day with an upper limb difference, suddenly I felt like I had a reason to actually take the cardigan off or take the sock off. And I wanted kids today to be able to grow up having, not feeling like they have to hide. All this time I'd flown under the radar, but it was time to talk about my limb difference and not simply pretend that it wasn't there. It hasn't always been smooth sailing. I've had ups and downs, and I still do. Spring being a particularly difficult time of year when you're suddenly faced with t-shirt weather, and all you want to do is grab the cardigan. But Reach infiltrated my life more and more in the best way. I'm a freelance copywriter, and Tom is a graphic designer, and soon after rejoining, serendipitously, Reach was looking for a new editor and designer of their magazine. So Tom and I started the Within Reach journey. Sorry, my mouth is... I'm so proud to be the editor of Within Reach, because it's been the greatest blessing, and I've not only met so many wonderful people, but I've loved being able to share the stories and life experiences of all of you and the limb difference community. It's only bolstered my own confidence as well. For the last 2 years, I've been going to Raw as a Reach mentor, which has been an absolutely amazing experience as an adult, to see the relationships being formed by the kids, seeing the challenges overcome. And it made me realize that we are all on different journeys, but these are the people, young and old, who are going to actually understand your journey more than anyone else. Now when I fall over. I know that being part of Reach gave me the confidence I hadn't had before. It's been with me ever since. It helped me when Tom and I got married and I braved the day without a sock. It gave me confidence when we converted our van and travelled and lived in it for 2.5 years, sharing our build and journey along the way. And it gave me confidence when I booked a learning to climb course and subsequently discovered a sport that I love and challenges me in all the best ways. It was during our van life travels that we discovered North Wales, which renewed our love of the mountains and set the ball rolling for the next layer of life, and probably the most significant yet. I'm getting there, I promise. It's a bit weird, isn't it? I've been facing lots of new challenges and finding a new confidence. I started volunteering as a dog's body with the Search and Rescue Dog Association in Wales, hiding in ditches or on mountainsides for the search dogs to find me. It's not as weird as it sounds. The team were really welcoming. I started thinking, hey, I want to be a part of this. Maybe one day I could be a handler. Today, 2 years later, I now provide support and navigation for one of the handlers and his search dogs as they prepare for assessment. And I'm planning on when I can start training a puppy myself. I wanted to set myself a challenge, so I trained in nearby lakes and completed the 2.5K Big Brutal Swim in Lake Padan and raised over £1,000 for Reach. And a little after finding Sada, we met Aberglaslyn Mountain Rescue. I never thought I could be in a mountain rescue or an emergency service of any kind. It's a hugely physical role and demanding voluntary organisation, but to my surprise, they welcomed me as a trainee. It was a strange situation to be in, because up until this point, I'd spent my life doing things that people didn't expect me to do, and sometimes because they didn't expect me to do it. Adventuring, finding a way, proving them wrong. But mountain rescue is different. I had to let go of my ego and admit that there may be things that I can't do, and that is okay for the safety of the team and our casualties. But every step of the way, they've supported me and helped me figure out my way. I can do the laces, I just won't put you through that. For those who aren't sure what Mountain Rescue is, it's a purely voluntary organisation, on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, to help anyone in need in the mountains. Every call-out is different. Some involve the rescue helicopter, some searching for missing people through the night, whilst others involve carrying all your kit and the heavy ropes and rigging and stretchers to rescue someone on a mountainside in the pouring rain. But this is where team morale comes in. You're part of an exceptional team invited to learn and develop specialised skills and offered lifetimes of experience from those who came before you. It makes you realise that everyone has something to give, and it takes a whole team to get the job done. As a trainee, I've attended more than 30 call-outs to help lost, missing or injured people, in between going to weekly training sessions, and I qualified as a remote rescue medical technician, which involved figuring out how to inject intramuscular morphine with one hand on a windy hillside. I've had to grow a different type of confidence. I have to speak out when I need to be on a certain side of the stretcher. I have to speak out if I need to step back and do something different. But that's not the end. Having Reach by my side and the skills developed in Mountain Rescue only inspired me to want to keep building on my own self-confidence as an individual. I want to represent upper limb difference in the outdoors. I want young people to see themselves in every area of life. So last month, I undertook the 6 days of training to become a mountain leader, and will aim to go to my assessment next year so I can take people out in the mountains. Once again, this involved adapting and finding ways to safely spot people when we're scrambling, or confidently pass the required rope work sections. But having other layers of life to rely on, I stepped nervously but excitedly towards the challenge. So that's where I'm at. But a really hard part of this journey is seeing where other people are at on theirs. Comparison is a lifelong battle, and I think that it can get worse as we get older because we set ourselves unrealistic expectations. But we are where we are. Some people say they would never change their difference, and many say that they don't ever worry about people staring. Truthfully, I've never been able to align with those statements, but I have had recently a profound realization. Maybe it's obvious, but this is me, and this is my arm, and it's never going to change. But maybe it's just a phase, and it's okay if it is. But this time, something feels different, because I think that this layer I've been cultivating feels more authentically me than any other so far. Perhaps the only way of figuring that out was to live, learn, fail, succeed, hurt, overcome, and be challenged. I'm starting a hashtag called Blame Steve, so I don't know what layer will come next, but I know that these life experiences are equipping me. I'm proud to share that just a few weeks ago, we were promoted to full team members with the Mountain Rescue team. Being presented with this red jacket not only means a lot to represent MR in women in Mountain Rescue, but disability too. So if I can offer any type of advice to parents and families, it will be this. It's okay, it's going to be okay. There will be trials and there will be great wins. Perhaps not the ones you expected, but allow your reach children to move freely in their own way. Let them talk about their difference or not. Let them figure out their place. They are building their layers of courage, resilience, and confidence every day. And not every layer will look like progress, but it is. They need to learn how to do life just as every child does. The buttons, the laces, and the zips will come along the way. But they will figure out how to answer those hard questions, set their own boundaries, and navigate to a place that feels more like them. Thank you.
Max Swinhoe. Thank you. You mind taking some questions?
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to take your jacket off. You're going to get rather hot.
Yeah, no, it's not warm. Thank you.
But that was absolutely brilliant. And I think we also need to say hello to Tom over there, who's been, well, mostly on the right with the clicker.
I couldn't deal with the clothes and the clicker. It was too much.
Exactly. And thank you, Tom, for that. And thank you. That was, for someone like me, getting up here talking is not a big deal, but you put yourself through it to do that. And I know it wasn't your favourite thing, but I know everyone really, really appreciates what you did there. Just incredible. Max Swinhoe, let her hear it, please. Absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
We're going to open it up for any questions that you've got for Max, please do. One of the things that I would love to start off with, if I may, is your editing of Within Reach and what you would like from all of them to help you in your role as the editor.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always after your story. I hound people myself, but it's always brilliant when people come to me, and I have had a few people this weekend come and say, I think a really good idea for the magazine would be this, and that is the best, because when it comes from you, I'm not the voice of Reach, I'm just one. So yeah, please get in touch. It's within Reach at reach.org.uk, but yeah, please do send in your stories and get involved.
We do have some questions, unsurprisingly. I've got loads more, but I want to hear from everybody in the audience. So how do you stay so positive and motivated?
Well, I mean, as I said in the beginning, I'm not always, but I think the more challenges I've overcome, the more challenge I've faced, I think the more I have confidence that I can do it. I remember one particular time at school, I had a presentation and I got so nervous that I really felt like I fluffed it up, and I've had that in my head, and I'm like, even if I'm nervous, I still want to do these things, and just give it a go. Yeah. I
mean, that's a great mantra, isn't it? Just give it a go.
Well, yeah. Like
easier said than done, though.
Yeah.
I don't think we're all going to be doing the challenges that you've done there. Have you done much abseiling in your job? And if so, what adaptations do you need to be able to do that?
No, I haven't. We don't do a lot of abseiling in the team, but I've started outside of the team doing climbing myself, and I've discovered actually recently a Petzl Neox is a brilliant device. I haven't tried it for abseiling, but I can now for anyone that knows, lead belay Tom. There are some really great adaptations. So if anyone's keen on climbing, please come and chat. But abseiling, I used the Mammoth Smart with the smarter attachment. But yeah, no, not too many things that I've had to change, yeah.
I'm going to read a load of lovely positive comments, and we've got one more question. So, incredible job. Not every layer will look like progress, but it is an incredible quote for worried parents. Thank you, Max. The biggest thank you for being the most lovely raw mentor. Kiss, kiss. And what's your advice? Oh, there's another question, but actually, let's ask the question that's at the top. What's been the hardest mountain rescue job you've been on so far?
Physically hard was we had a 6.5-hour stretcher carry from the top of a mountain, and everyone, it was raining and it was down a scree slope. Yes, everyone was taking that, and that was just physically, I think it was that job that made me realise that you don't have to just be tough and like tough it out all the time. Everyone was struggling and everyone was having to, take breaks, and I had to, that was okay, I need to step back because I'm actually struggling. And it's quite, when you've grown up being told you can do anything, and it's true, but you have to also know your own limits and not push yourself too hard. I think you've got a full book of quotes for people this evening. Absolutely incredible. It's been an absolute pleasure watching you and to see your amazing adventures. I've just got one final question. Yeah. What adventure next? I want to be a dog handler with the search dogs. That's next. Yeah, so watch this space.
We will. Max Swinhoe, thank you so much. Thank you.